Good day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to our continuing series of our Facebook Live sessions from the Ministry of Agriculture. My name is Joanne Singh. I'm the veterinary officer in the Poultry Surveillance Unit, and I'm here to deliver some knowledge for those who are interested in poultry farming. I hope this helps you. All right, so my topic today is biosecurity in poultry farming. It's an introduction to biosecurity and its importance to the poultry industry. What is biosecurity? Okay, well, basically, it's just measures taken by the farmer to prevent the introduction and the spread of disease to his or her flock of birds. It's really the protection from primary pathogens, which I will go through just in a minute, and it helps keep the birds happy and healthy, abiding with good animal welfare, because this is a very current issue that's ongoing worldwide. As you can see, the Trinidad and Tobago is situated at the bottom of the Caribbean chain of islands, and it's right next to the South American mainland. I just wanted to point that out to show you where we are located in relation to that continent, right? So the birds from that continent could easily fly over to our island. That's the point in this slide. And I wanted to show that the things that actually cause disease, we have some examples of the pathogens here. You're seeing like endoparasites, which are like tapeworms, roundworms. You're seeing bacteria. Examples would be Salmonella, E. coli, Pasteurella. We have viruses. I think everybody is kind of familiar with these viruses these days. Protozoa, mold, ectoparasites, all of these are pathogens that can cause disease in your birds. How do these organisms get to your farm? Well, there are so many different vehicles that bring these organisms to your farm. You, the farmer, could be your main culprit because you are back and forth from your farm and you don't know what you are picking up and bringing onto your farm. The other things will be anything that actually enters your farm. You have wild birds, you have other people, you have animals, wild animals, domestic animals, equipment, tractors, trucks that bring feed, your water supply, pests like rodents, tools that you're sharing with your neighbors or other farms, feed, the litter that you put down, all of these things can bring organisms onto your farm. So how do we keep them out? Well, we basically have to block the route of transmission onto your farm. So one of the major systems of farming in Trinidad will be this intensive farming. And you would see in the picture that is an enclosed house. Practically nothing could get in. This sort of farms you would see mainly with the large contract farmers, and it's very good biosecurity because you are preventing things from getting into your farm and onto your birds and then preventing your disease. Then you also see intensive farming in medium to large farms where you will see this mostly because it's more common, and you will see the sides of the house are open and there are channels where organisms can get through as compared to the first slide. All right, so this one is showing what I think most people will be familiar with because it is most popular. Everybody tries to have this little backyard farm and they have their little birds in the backyard, and they don't really have much biosecurity here because there are no physical protective barriers, no disease preventative measures, and it's very common in the whole of the island. So how do we keep our primary pathogens out of the flock? One of the first lines of defense is this biosecurity that I'm speaking about. And it also contributes to good animal welfare, so that's a plus. Biosecurity measures. CARVET, it's an organization, a network in the region that is made up of Veterinary services, research institutions that work together to give scientific and technical support to animal health and prevention of disease outbreaks in the members. All right, so they have categorized biosecurity into these 5 broad topics: access management, animal health management, operational, pest control, and training. So let's see what access management is. Access management basically controls who or what comes into contact with your birds and premises. So one of the first things that you would want to install is proper fencing and a gate. And this can control access to your farm by animals, by vehicles, by other people, visitors. All of these are the first things that you need to prevent from getting onto your farm, right? You, the farmer, as I said before, can be a major culprit because you're going to the agro shops, you're going to garden shops where you meet other farmers, and they also would have maybe pathogens from their farm and transfer it to you, and then you bring it on your farm. So you have to be careful of that. Your veterinarian also, because your veterinarian might be going on another farm, so you have to ensure when your veterinarian is coming onto your farm, make sure he does not come from another farm. So you have to make sure that that is a condition, right? And going back and forth from farm to farm is very important. Then the other things is that if you keep your surroundings clean to prevent vermin from lurking around your farm, that is a very good measure. You provide baths like wheel baths and foot baths at points of entry so that there's a sanitizer in there. So whatever is coming into your farm goes through that and is sanitized. You change your disinfectants daily so that you always have potent formula inside of that water bath or wheel bath, right? And some examples would be like TH4 Virgonus. Those are locally available, right? So those can be accessed. Yeah, next measure here is animal health management, right? You use an all-in, all-out practice. What does that mean? Is that when you have a flock of birds, you grow them out, you get rid of all of them, slaughter, and then you sanitize your pen, and then you get another set. You don't have one set there and bring another set while your first set of birds is on your farm. So that is important to keep the disease at bay, right? You ensure your pens are clean, you source your birds from credible suppliers, you keep your birds of one age group together, which was what I just said, and vaccinate your birds appropriately. There are vaccines available for certain diseases that should, of course, be implemented. Right? Now, you always have to look for your birds every day to make sure that you're not seeing any signs of disease. So you're observing them every morning, you're isolating your sick birds immediately from your pen, you're consulting your veterinarian, you dispose of your dead birds immediately in an appropriate manner, and birds should not be leaving your farm, going to shows or stuff like that and coming back on the farm. It's not very popular in Trinidad, but certain countries have these shows, livestock shows, where they take their birds off the farm, carry them to these shows, and then bring them back, and they pick up these diseases from outside, bring it back, and spread it to your whole flock. Third measure, operational management. So this is actually operations on your farms, right? Some of the things that you can do, which will really help out, is to provide these hand washing facilities or hand sanitizing stations. Everybody's familiar with those now because of COVID, but it can work with respect to your poultry diseases as well, because a lot of the poultry diseases are viral in nature and you need to do this. Right, so you're providing plastic boots and gloves to veterinarians and other visitors, just in case they don't work with theirs, you have yours to give them, right? And make sure that they keep their hands and themselves clean when they enter your premises. All employees also should wear designated clean work clothes and practice biosecurity on your farm. Tools, equipment, those kind of things disinfected daily and stored properly to just keep those pathogens at bay. Of course, you're drinking water on your feed. You need to secure those because water is a source where it depends on how potable your water source is. You may be harboring microorganisms in there, so you need to make sure you have proper storage for your water and treatment in case you are using water not from a potable source. Also your feed. Feed is something that will attract all kinds of organisms, all kinds of animals, because it is feed. So they are looking for food. And if they come and interfere with your feed and deposit their pathogens on the feed, and you're going to take that feed now to feed your animals, then you are transferring the pathogen to them and you're creating a disease situation there. So all of these things are needed to be taken into consideration. Operational management will also cover for your dead birds. You need to dispose of them properly. Acceptable methods like deep burial, incineration, or composting. These things can be covered maybe in a future session, but these are just examples, right, of the things that you are doing to make sure that you don't spread your disease. Manure, your tools, and you don't share your equipment and your tools with other farms. Although it might sound selfish, it is the safe thing to do. 4, pest control. So after all is said and done, you still have to keep away the pests. So you have to have proper house construction with bird and rodent proofing. I'm sure the rolls of wire there with the size of the grade of the wires to keep out certain sizes of birds and insects and all that, right? So as much as you can keep out, that is what you need to do. The pest control companies can help with respect to rodents and stuff like that. And you always have to be taking your measures, chemical or physical, spray around your pen and all that, but make sure what you are using is safe for your birds, but harmful to the other animals you want to keep out. Last will be the training, because if you are implementing all of these measures, you need to train yourself as well as your employees to be up to date with all that is required, right? And this slide I'm showing that you can request your training from your vet, or you can even ask the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, our unit, Poultry Surveillance Unit, ETIs, etc., for help, because we are here to help in that regard, right? So you're training all your farm employees. Your training should occur regularly. You can request it every 6 months or so, or as required. We can use written materials, so you always have it there to refer to. And you can even reward your employees for practicing your biosecurity on your farm, so it gives them a little incentive. So our unit, which is the Poultry Surveillance Unit, is really a subsidiary of the Veterinary Services Subdivision. And we have ambulatory functions, regulatory functions, and we work in tandem with the veterinary diagnostic lab of our ministry to help farmers in making sure their operations are successful in animal health. So our ambulatory functions will include consultations, advisory, diagnoses on your farm. So we can come on your farm to do these things. We could detect disease, we could monitor, we do postmortems and follow-ups on your farm, so to help you solve your problems with respect to your diseases. And we also have regulatory functions where we do active surveillance, passive surveillance, and border control functions. It's where we actually look for disease in order to report on them. Active surveillance is where we actually do blood samples and maybe other kind of samples and test in the lab to see if we come up with diseases. And passive is if we see any signs of disease, we look into it and report them, all right? And if there are products or poultry that is being illegally entered into the country, we seize, we destroy, we get rid of those things, because we don't want to have any diseases being introduced to our country illegally or otherwise, all right? So basically that's part of our function. Our regulatory functions also include hatchery monitoring program, reporting of notifiable diseases, poultry import and export functions, and I was just showing you some of the pictures that the operations we are involved in, right, with laboratory work and otherwise. So biosecurity measures, the PSU can assist you, right? So we have our contact information here. We can always repeat it afterwards for those who didn't get it, but our number is 693-1501 or 693-1682, and our email address at the PSU is psunadc2016@gmail.com. So that has been my presentation, and I would like to address any questions that you all may have or comments you all may want to share, anything like that. No questions, all. So I don't think we have much questions. Okay, so there may be reading materials available from our ministry, but we would need to get those through ETIS division. I don't have any current ones available because we have to update a lot of those reading materials for you guys. But ETIS is also working on some fact sheets so that you can get information like that. But if you need on-farm assistance, we can make ourselves available to you. Vaccines, poultry vaccines. There are a few suppliers available in Trinidad for poultry vaccines. We have Sumeds Limited. They provide poultry vaccines, the ones that are approved, so we can get vaccines from them. And there may be a few other suppliers, but I am not too sure as to which ones they provide. But Sumeds is the main supplier of poultry vaccines in Trinidad. How can the cases of how are the cases of contamination detected? Okay, cases of contamination detected. Oh, well, if you have contamination, well, I don't understand. Well, what is being contaminated here? Is it the farm or I'm not too sure. The PSU, Mason, how does the PSU unit do postmortems on dead poultry? How does one contact for that service? You can call the number that was on the screen before, PSU, and we do postmortems on site on the farm to get gross pathology done. And if there are further testing required, we will take certain samples and we work in tandem with the veterinary diagnostic lab to find out what disease your bird would have died from. What is the quality of our local poultry life? Okay, from my experience and my working with the poultry industry, our quality is very good quality in terms of the health and disease aspect of it. All right, because we try our utmost to keep health at at high levels, optimal levels, and disease out of the flocks, which has been successful thus far because we haven't had any cases where we have to report any notifiable disease for a few years gone by, quite a bit. Sumeds, someone is asking that Sumeds is not available. Yes, they are. They have a email address and a number that they use for orders, and they do on-site deliveries. They don't have a physical outlet as yet because they are working on that. So yes, I think the same number that they had before, you can access their phone number through that. PharmaVet, somebody's asking about PharmaVet and AgriLink. They too sell poultry supplies. I am not sure of which vaccines they might provide, but they do have poultry supplies. Okay, any further questions? I don't think so. If you want, I can just repeat the number. I could go back to the presentation. Okay, so this is our contact, right? So you can see it on the screen. It's 693-1501 or 693-1682. And if you require the services of the PSU, you can contact us there. and we can do an on-site visit and assess your flock and see if you have any disease problems and help you determine how best you can solve your problems with that problem that you have with disease or health. Someone is asking, do you treat animals that suffered a disaster? If there's a disaster, we will be involved in trying to alleviate your problems. But we at the PSU do not treat animals per se. We recommend treatment and you do your treatment yourself. We show you how to do them. We recommend the drugs that you need. We recommend the mode of treatment, everything like that. But we help you if you need assistance, right? And I cannot speak on behalf of SUMED. Someone is asking about if SUMED is still available again. I cannot speak on behalf of SUMED, but I know SUMED has been providing supplies accordingly. They have reached out to their regular customers and they have provided a system where orders can be placed. But I'm not too sure of how the system is working. I cannot speak on behalf of them. All right, and they say another question here, is there a wider diversity of different breeds in the chickens, and how does that crossbreeding affect output? When you say chickens, if you are speaking about broilers, there's not really a wide diversity of the broiler chickens. There are backyard chickens that you can find in almost any country home, and they are basically non-breed specific in that they don't have characteristics of a certain breed, but they are called home fowl or yard fowl or common fowl, that kind of breed. Those are very resistant to a lot of diseases, but they are not fast growing like the broilers. So I don't know if I answered that question there, but with respect to those, yeah. With the surge of avian influenza globally, what strategies do we have in place to deal with a suspected outbreak locally? Okay, with the surge of avian influenza, we are doing surveillance with respect that we go onto farms on a regular basis, which is daily, Monday to Friday, and we actually look to see if we are seeing signs of anything. If we are suspecting any disease, we normally will take samples for testing in the lab. If the lab detects anything like that, we have systems in place where we will deal with it. But avian influenza is a notifiable disease and is one of the diseases on our list that we need to report. So as soon as we see any symptoms or any suspect cases, we will do the necessary to determine if it is avian influenza or not. All right, so far it has not been reported in Trinidad, so we don't have it to worry about thus far, but as soon as we see anything that might point in that direction, we will be doing the necessary that we need to do. Contact number was there before. I can't give out the contact number for SUMED because I don't have it with me, and they are a private company, and you can source your poultry supplies from them otherwise. That's it. I'm not seeing any more questions. That's it. All right, so thank you for all your comments and your questions, and you can feel free to post additional questions afterwards. But I hope this has been informative for you and look forward to doing other sessions with you in the future.